Dude, Zack Zillner, it's amazing to have you back on the show.
Thanks for having me, Justin. It's good to be back.
Yeah, so you have a wild life experience that you're currently undergoing. Anyone who's listened to the show, which, by the way, we're almost at 500 total episodes.
That's huge. Congrats.
Yeah, we just realized this. The life you are currently living is the dream that I always had growing up. But last time we texted, you were looking at me like, dude, the house you're going through, the shit you're doing.
Dude, you're living the dream, man. Yeah. So I guess we got different mirrors.
I guess we
different
got,
mirrors.
Should we trade each
Yeah,
other
exactly. Just for that. Like, dude, I don't want this, man. You work too hard.
I'm going to
not
Miami.
doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, you work
I'm
way
good here,
harder
dude.
than
Yeah.
I do.
I thought you just looked at houses all day.
How's that feel to be? I mean, you're living. I mean, this is my dream. I would give up my life for 1 year to experience what you're experiencing.
We can have you down there. We're having a paid internship opportunity, so you can apply next month. I'll move your resume to the top.
Is the pay? Is the pay come out to anywhere close to the pay right now?
It depends. I mean, we could move some stuff around, maybe free lunch, free dinner,
we got to bring some
sometimes,
boosters,
some
in.
coffee. Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Was this your dream?
Yeah, I think my dream was, if you got me at 18-year-old Zach, it was to coach high-level college athletics. The pro scene was just never something that I worked in or affiliated with, so I actually have no idea what the NBA is like or anything like that. And going to Kansas, it's a basketball school, so I've always loved basketball, just was never talented enough to make it to, the next level like most of our listeners, I would assume.
Yeah, short white guys.
Exactly. Then no one's looking for guys that can't shoot, that are slow and not athletic. So I was out of luck there.
Can't shoot, can't dribble, can't run, can't defend.
Not coachable.
Not coachable.
Can't have them. Can't have them. But no, it's cool. Like working with, Kansas men's basketball is one of the greatest programs. I think they're the winningest program ever in college basketball.
Yeah.
And then so just being surrounded by that, and then my goal was, to make it to, Power 4 men's or women's basketball. And I've done both, which is cool to see both sides of everything, and then to kind of finally see, like, this is from 18-year-old Zach to now 35. Like, it's quite a bit of years of coaching, learning, putting the hours, making mistakes, growing, all that kind of fun stuff just shows up. So I think it's kind of funny when people see, like, oh, you've made it, and I just like, no, I feel like I'm just now getting there. Like this has been years and years in the making, so it's been fun, just a wild ride for sure.
Yeah. Having the title of Director of Sports Performance for basketball at the University of Miami, a gigantic ACC school with probably a lot of NIL backing in the current world of NIL and all the craziness going on there, that just has to feel cool.
Yeah,
it just has to feel pretty neat in the morning.
It's fun. I mean, like, just the opportunity, and I never let it, pass me by as far as, like, I get to go to work at this awesome university, work with these great athletes, great coaches at a big institution, and, like, it never falls short on me. Sometimes I always joke, like, I love giving, when people are in town, like, I love showing them the facilities, all that kind of stuff, because it gives me a new lens of, like, this is pretty cool. You've worked hard. You get to be at this point coaching at, this school with, once again, these coaches and athletes. Like, it's a pretty surreal experience.
Yeah, you had me out to University of Texas, showed me all around the facilities. That was an amazing, amazing time, amazing day. People don't realize, what goes on. I think we had a chat while we were out there. We walked through, like, the Hall of Fame and where all the national championships are, which I think UT has the most national championships. Like,
yeah, they got quite a few. Yeah,
like for across all sports. But, we were chatting while out there, and I know Miami's had a ridiculous amount of success as well. People don't realize, like, these are still student athletes. These are kids that go to school, and they have homework assignments, and they have girl problems, and they have family drama. And now in the new world of NIL, it's like who's trying to take advantage of you, and you have to watch out. But then all people see is when you're in the arena.
for sure.
How do you perform there? And that's all people really care about. And collegiate athletics, I was similar to you. I never cared much about the pros. When Peyton Manning was playing, I was like a big Peyton Manning fan, but I never care about the NFL.
Yeah.
I've always been a college guy. Definitely still feel the same. I think those guys, pro athletes, have a lot of shit that they have to deal with too, but I think just at the collegiate level, I think it's another level. Now, last year, men's basketball at Miami wasn't very good. They bring in a new coach. They bring in you. They bring in a lot of key pieces, a lot of new guys. They all know that the record wasn't where it needs to be at a program like Miami last year. What's the psychological work? How much do you guys talk about the psychological approach to make sure the guys kind of stay above water even on the dog days that you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, I think this more than ever, like being at Texas for 8 years, like I built the, training culture, those first 2 or 3 years. And then I was kind of riding, the athletes, it's an athlete-run program. So, like, if you come to any of my sessions when we were there, like, I'll explain the lifts, what I'm looking for, and then the athletes are the ones actually pushing, the underclassmen through everything of, like, this is what it should look like. This is the intensity, no walking, no sitting down, like, all the good culture stuff. And I think I just assumed going to a new place would be no different. And it's, like, arguably culture is more important than the training itself. Like, you can have great training, but if you have a horrible culture training environment, like, it doesn't matter. So, like, ideally you want both. And so right away it was kind of listing where do we want to go, and then the standards and qualities to get us there. And so everyone's like, okay, the goal is, to win conference. What are things we need to do? And I like kind of doing a reframe. You've probably heard of this with Charlie Munger, of what are the things I would do to not make this happen. So that's like, wouldn't give effort, wouldn't come in extra for shooting, wouldn't be coachable, like all these lists. And then it's like, okay, well, if we know these are the exact ways to make us not do it, what are the systems we can put into place to do it? And I'm like, my job as a coach is to help you uphold the standard. So if it's not where it should be, like, I will help guide you to where it needs to be. And then I think, there's just reframes throughout every day. So we could start, the warm-up could be great, whatever, and then you get halfway through the lift and people aren't focusing, so we'll bring it in. What are we trying to do? Is this, I always ask, like, is the standard too high for you? And if I'm holding you too high of a standard that you don't think you can follow, that, like, that's not fair. But then we need to change our goal. So it's maybe not win conference, it's let's finish 500 and, have a really good time, which isn't the case. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of centering everything back and then get them, I call it, pardon my French, but the give a fuck factor. So how can we care about the smallest detail, and that's going to, stack those on top of each other for when the big things matter. But I think that's the toughest part for, like, young people to understand is, like, the little things really do matter. Like, if it's 10 reps and you did 8, like, that's a big deal because it bleeds into all these other things that you're willing to compromise on. So I think it's just getting them ownership of the program, putting them in the driver's seat. I always say that, I'm your passenger princess. I'm telling you where to turn, but, like, you're in charge of everything else. And then at the end of the day, when you're hoisting that trophy above your head, like, that's you. I'm on the bench. Didn't play a single minute. So that's you and all the work you put in. Vice versa. If you stink it up, like, no one's thinking of the ball strength coach at the end of the bench. And so I think, just giving them kind of the opportunity to run the kind of program they want to run is where you see the success.
Culture is a fascinating paradigm because it will rise your tide or it will lower you. And
yes. I've been a part of some really bad teams and some really good teams. And honestly, I think you learn a lot more from really bad teams, or, like, for you, like, really poorly run businesses or bad online coaches. You learn almost more from that than you do the high level programs. Like, when I came into Kansas men's basketball, like, they already had a fine, well-tuned machine. I'm just there to, like, put weights on the bar and make sure nobody gets hurt. And so, like, you don't learn really anything from that because, like, the culture's already been set. You're just along for the ride. But, like, I've been on teams where you've won 6 games in a season, and it's like, okay, these are
like
the
25
like, horrible,
awful,
getting blown out every night, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, what were some similar qualities that, lack of a better term, these losers had? And you're part of the problem too.
100%.
And so it's like, how can we make sure that, once we recognize these things, we nip them in the butt? I think the season or the life you want is on the other side of, like, an uncomfortable conversation. So it's like, how can we have those early on to create that trust to not have so many of those bad days?
In ECA, we chat with the coaches about your level of success is going to be dictated by how real you're going to be with yourself. Do you tell yourself the truth or do you lie to yourself? Do you accept it? Do you run from it? And I think that it's quite literally that simple across the board everywhere. Okay, if you tell yourself the truth and you like that truth and you accept that truth, then you're going to continue getting the outcomes that you're going to get right now. If you accept the truth, or you tell yourself the truth, you accept the truth, even though that truth isn't quite what you want to be living, you will continue getting those outcomes, but at least you're aware that you're not being what you want to be.
Yeah.
If you lie to yourself, you will become delusional. You will think everything else it's everyone else's fault. It's never your fault. There's never going to be ownership. Oh, this didn't work for me. That didn't work for me. And this story that you write in your head is constantly reinforced. So there's an interesting paradigm you have with there was a bad record last year. We need to shoot for a good record this year. What's the story that you're telling yourself? Are you reinforcing the Miami of the past, or are you rewriting the Miami of the future? There's this fascinating quote that I read on X over the weekend that I really enjoyed about how none of the past is real. It's all just a memory in your head. And how many times, Zach, have you had a memory of something that everyone was like, that's not how it went down or not what happened. This is what actually happened.
Yeah.
You can't trust those memories anyways because we convince ourselves that things go either for or against us based on how we view the topic of that memory. And the only way forward is by realizing that the next page is blank. So you're writing that story right now. You write that with first the thoughts in your head, second the words that come out of your mouth, and then third the actions that follow those words. But I think an overarching truth behind this is telling yourself the truth. And if you're able to do that consistently, like a program like Kansas, it's very easy to tell yourself the truth. The truth is in front of you. And it's in the record. It's on your ranking in the top 25. It's in the national championships. It's everywhere. The truth that places with 6 wins out of 30 games is also very easy to accept. But are you going to do anything to change it? Are you going to take responsibility as the backup point guard that only gets 6 minutes a game on a 6-win team? You suck just as bad as the starting
For
player.
sure.
Worse, likely. And it goes back to the culture, which we chat a lot about within the ECA community, is the culture of the person that you're around the most, or the people you're around the most. That is where you are headed. It's something that we found based on last week's masterclass called I Hadn't Realized is the amount of mentees that view their friends and their people, their community, their tribe as ECA because they've realized I'm around losers. So that's why I haven't had the success that I want to have to this point. The challenging part becomes, especially as we grow and expand, there's going to be people who are losers who enter the group. There's going to be people who are losers that show themselves who might be on your team right now. We don't know until shit gets hard and hits the fan a little bit. When these people present themselves, I have thoughts on what I would like to do. I just believe in alleviating the problem. You're gone.
Addition by subtraction.
Addition by subtraction. It's a little easier to do that in my position.
For sure, you can fire people.
Yeah. I can fire mentees, I can fire coaches, I can fire anything. Do you believe that you, as a strength director, have the ability to transform a loser into a winner? And how do you go about that?
Yeah, I think, we always talk about like dynamics of teams, and I think like your really good team, you're going to have 5 guys that are bought in no matter what, everyday guys. You're going to have 5 that are in the middle and 3 to 5 at the bottom.
Yep.
And the more successful your team is, the fewer people you have at the bottom, but those people can have the biggest impact on your team. Just because like when shit gets hard, it's a lot easier to bitch and moan about things, and those guys in the middle might be pulled the easier route of screw this, coach is on some shit today, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, how do we make working hard, elevating the standard, the cool thing? Working extra is cool. And I think that's the biggest thing of, we always have, guys come in shooting. It's great, Justin, if you come in and get your extra shots up. But why is you as a junior, why aren't you bringing a freshman with you or one of your other teammates to come shoot with you? and we'll get more and more.
So it becomes their responsibility.
Correct. It's great that you're taking care of your stuff. I appreciate that, but this is a team last time I checked. So, like, your buddy that you're roommates with that's just at home playing 2K, like, bring him with you. Like, make it happen. And at the end of the day, we all realize we need the strongest team in order to win. And so it's great if your one link is really good, but, like, you want the guy next to you to be just as bad or bad in a good way as you. And so I think for me, it's like on a team, you need to identify like those guys that are not everyday kind of guys and figure out ways to switch them. So like I always give them the benefit of the doubt of like, hey, I know you don't want to be unruly or, you know, just a jerk to be a jerk. Like, how can I help coach you better to be one of these guys that we depend on? And then kind of identifying who has the most influence on the team. So everyone's looking for who's our leader, but like whatever your best player, hopefully there's your best leader, but I want to find the guy that has the most influence. And that's usually
Do you think those two go hand in hand?
I don't.
Because on a bad team, the best leader is going to have less influence than the people at the bottom, the strongest people.
Usually, like the guy with the most influences has the biggest personality. Everyone gravitates towards them. And if they're a hard worker and everything, you got the makings for a great team. But if they're the cool guy that has a joke for everything, that doesn't really like working, who may be deflecting why they're not where they want to be because of somebody else's fault or whatever, like they can ruin your team. And that magnetic personality can either help you or really hurt you. So I try to find who has the most influence, and then that's when I talk to them of like, yo, let's get on the same page. Like, you help me run the team. Like, I can't do this without you. And I think if you give them ownership within the program, they're going to invest way more in what you're doing. Just like in school, like I was always the disruptive kid in the back because ZZ, they had me in the back. So in order for anyone to know I was there, I had to make a funny joke or whatever. And I'd always do well in class when the teacher's like, hey, you're important in this class. Like, how can we work together so you can help me teach everybody this stuff? I'm like, oh, yeah, I got ownership in this math class. Like, this is part of my class, and then I care. But people that just, like, exclude you, demean you, punish you, you're like, dude, I'm going to make this guy or girl's life even worse. 100%. You know what I mean? Especially if you're going to, like, put me out in front of everybody, which is a horrible attitude, but that's usually what it is. You know what I mean?
I was the disruptive kid. I was definitely the class clown.
It's too fun.
It's way too fun. And it's how you get attention.
Exactly.
I'm part of Entrepreneurs organization, EO, based out of Austin. It's a bunch of entrepreneurs who do over $2 million a year in revenue. So in each cohort, we have these cohorts that are just little groups of 5 people. One person in the group does over 50 mil. One does 20, one does 10, one does 5, and then one does 2. So when you first come in, wherever you're at in that range, that's where that's going to be your position in the group. So the person who obviously does 50 mil in rev, they're the leader of the group. It is unquestioned. The data,
good proof of concept.
You might know way less than I know about business, but you are still the leader of the group because the only data metric that really matters in terms of your success to be a part of a group like this, you're winning. Well, surrounding yourself as a low performer. When I came in, I was the $2 million guy. And surrounding yourself as the lowest performer with people that you dream of having the money and the finances and the opportunity that they have, I think it instantaneously makes you more creative. It makes you more magnetic. It puts an energy out into the universe of, I want this, and I'm it's on my timeline, so I'm doing work to go get that. It allows you to ask questions in a very safe space because they were all there too. And also, people who earn $2 million a year, they're respected by people who earn $50 million
a year.
For
sure. It's hard to do either one of them.
It's very hard to do both.
Yes.
But you realize, I realized, every one of us has the exact same problems. These problems don't change, they just magnitude at scale. Winners and losers have the exact same problems. They have different things that they're going to do about those problems. And I believe every loser can become a winner. I mean, it's easy to look at me now, 500 episodes in, a gigantic company that does $500,000, $600,000 a month, buying a $2.5 million house in Austin, have the beautiful girl, have the insane life. Be like, wow, Justin's a winner. Like, I'm 32. I didn't start winning until I was 30. There was 30 years of losing. I was the worst athlete on the University of Cincinnati track team for the 2 years I was there. I was the hardest worker, so I had a ton of influence, but I was the worst by far in terms of performance. I wasn't a great kid in high school. I got bad grades. The teachers definitely wrote me off as an outcast. I would prioritize things I should not have prioritized. I've had drug use issues. I've had all these things happen. But the biggest difference that I noticed in what made me me today is the culture, who I'm around, and the influence I let these people have over me. An example, I got really, really close, was still one of my very good friends, with somebody who is in that 50 mil range. Company is doing about 88 mil a year. We start hanging out a ton, and then he sells one of his companies for $96 million. And he gets this gigantic wire. It was like a $51 million wire. And I get to see it, and I'm like, no way. Those were the first times I tangibly saw, oh, this is real.
Yeah.
This does exist. That money in somebody's bank account does exist. And that gave me a belief that, oh, I can do this too. You just need to build it. But we start hanging around too often, and he now has over 100 M's in the bank. I've got 100,000 in the bank. But I'm doing the shit he's doing. So if he wants to go out on a Tuesday, I'm going to go out on a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. If he wants to just fuck it on a Monday, I'm just going to fuck it all on a Monday. Well, that's where the influence has to divide. If you're an All-American, you have a little bit more leeway once you're there than a freshman who is a walk-on
for sure
is going to have. And that comes down still to the culture. So let's get to the root of this culture. He had a $4 million investment from his father when he graduated college.
Nice help.
My family before me and the entire family tree had never made $4 million total.
Yeah.
Now the root of the culture is, oh, we are from two way different places. Mm-hmm. So you can't have the influence over me because you don't understand the path I've been on. You don't understand the struggles that I've gone through. You only understand me as an entrepreneur. You don't understand me as a human. So you have to add a buffer. You can't have the same. Just can't be as close as we are.
Correct.
In college sports, what's interesting about this is on some teams, you're going to have a kid from a really rich area. Maybe, I don't know, I assume like modern day high school.
Good spot.
Or like Westlake High School here in Austin. And then you'll have kids from, somewhere in Dallas, maybe DeSoto. I'm not sure if DeSoto is a very affluent area. I know they're insane at football. How do you match? How do you get these two people from such different backgrounds, cultures, family exposure, traumas? How do you get them on the same page? I think that's something I struggle with as a leader.
I think that's why I love sports so much. I think it's one of the few industries that you can bring in people from all different walks of life, like race, socioeconomic status, parts of the world, one parent household, two parents household, no parent household, and sports is kind of the great equalizer that brings everybody together. So I think if you can get people around this one goal and kind of identify that people have different backgrounds, people have different way of doing things, get to know your teammates. And so I think that's the beauty of college sports is these guys are around each other so much, and they're in the locker room all the time or the gym all the time, or we always talk about team building activities, and I argue that weights, practice, games, traveling,
those aren't team builders.
That's all team building activities.
If those aren't team builders, you shouldn't be playing
Correct.
Sport.
So for you to do a workshop that's an hour of military training or whatever to bring your team closer, you're kind of missing everything. Practice is where you learn about everybody, because you see these athletes at their highest highs, lowest lows, and it's how can we care about each other of more than just teammates, we're brothers or sisters, that type of situation. So I think it's the time, and then putting them into situations with working with different people on their team. Everybody has their buddies, but it's when we do partner stuff, it's okay, get with a person that's not in your position or somebody you're not roommates with or someone you have no idea who they are. And I think, sports has a way of you become friends within one practice or one training session. If you train with somebody new, you go through your little routine, you're talking back and forth, all this kind of stuff, and then that's kind of how we met. After an hour of training, it's dude, I really like this guy.
100%.
We get along, and so that kind of bypasses a lot of things. And then I think having more than just surface level conversations with your team of what's going on in people's lives, where do you want to go, what are your aspirations after this, what do you want to get accomplished while you're here, and then it's kind of us as like the coaches, support staff to kind of facilitate all that kind of stuff. So I like to do things of bringing like guest speakers coming in, guys that were like former athletes, either played pro or didn't and went pro in something else, started a business. And like what you said, like I think a lot of people, especially if you come from a background that's not as advantageous, like you don't know that, oh, if you have this idea, you can get these things called investors and people to put seed money in your company and then start this thing you want to start. And I think it's cool to see, like, there's a company called Spoonful. It's like an overnight oats company. And ex-college athlete had this idea of he fueled horribly in college, gained a bunch of weight, inflammation, the whole 9 yards. He looked into nutrition stuff, and he's like, well, I started making these oats. They make me feel better, but, like, how do I get this in stores and market it to people? So he, pitched to people and whatnot, and he came and talked to our team of like, hey, I was you guys 8 years ago. And I didn't think of anything else besides ball or just getting 9 to 5. And then I look just like you. I had your same situation, and look what I'm able to do. So I think it comes back to like the Roger Bannister thing. Nobody ever ran a 4-minute mile. Once he ran it, that next year, like 30 people did it. So I think it's for you to see what's possible with your business example. It's like you're making $2 million, which is unbelievable. But you see a guy doing your same business type thing, 50 million. And I think for you to see that it's possible, it's like, okay, I know the work that needs to be done to do this. We always say that, like, once your team makes it to a Final Four and you still have players on that team, they can kind of relay the message of that's a huge difference compared to the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16 or just making the tournament.
Huge difference.
And we worked our asses off to get there, and we're still not to where we want to go. So we need to put in all that work plus this. And so I think you don't recognize the sacrifice or the time you have to put in until you do it. And that's the hardest thing, is like, how do you put yourself in the position to do it in the first place?
On this journey to becoming the director of sports performance for basketball at Miami, a dream job, there's definitely been a lot of times that you just felt it ain't going to work out.
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't going where I want to go. What are you doing those times? What were those times like? What was happening there? I'm assuming we were on a 6-win team. That is, I suck at my job and I'm not very good. But then all of a sudden, when you're at Kansas, you think you're on top of the world. Or, last year with UT, you guys went to the Final Four.
Yeah, Final Four.
On top of the world, or as close as you get to it. What did you have to overcome, and how did you do it?
Yeah, I joke about this with my mom is like who I ask all my like life questions, whatnot. She's a businesswoman, so she has like great perspective of like being my mom, but also like the tough love situation of like she's like a coach too. She's good with like flipping it on and off. And I remember I was at Southern Miss making like no money a year, working all this stuff in a town where I didn't know anybody. I left to go to Illinois, which I thought would be a better situation. I was like kind of a year and a half through, weren't doing well, and I was like, you know what, like I don't see any other job openings, like I'm making no money, I don't feel like I'm living up to where I should be, and I'm like, I think I'm just going to get out, maybe get my real estate license or go work in marketing, or I don't know, be a business something. And I'm like, I feel like I still have this gift of coaching, but like I'm tired of it. Like I don't like where I live. I'm not getting compensated. We suck. Like my whole identity
This is basketball?
was in that basketball.
Okay.
And she was like, well, I mean, nothing's permanent. And I think when you're in something, especially in a job you hate, a city you hate, or whatever, friends you don't like or whatever, like you think everything's permanent, but you can change your situation. And so, at the same time I was like, I'm going to quit and probably just move back to Kansas City and do something. And I had the opportunity to come back to Kansas. And then I got the love for coaching back again. And then I got the opportunity to come to Texas. And I'm like, dude, I don't think I could do anything else. And if I wouldn't have stayed the course 12 years ago, like I definitely wouldn't be sitting here right now. And I think, you kind of have to be patient in the meantime and realize like your ultimate goal is to be where like I am now, or at least that's my biggest goal right now. And just be patient. Nothing's permanent, but you need to change your outlook and situation. So it's like, instead of complaining about it, do something about it. And the cool thing about change is you don't have to wait a week or a month. You can literally change today, right now. And so I think it was just being patient, continue to do my good work. Don't let my bad attitude outside of the office affect what I'm trying to do on the day-to-day. And I think successful people have a good job of separating those two. Like, it doesn't need to bleed into your work, and just realize, like, the bigger goal that you have. You can always make a change.
Yeah.
Nothing's permanent.
Are you familiar with the 80-20 rule?
What's that?
The 80-20, 80-20 rule of success. It's almost everyone stops at 80. Most people get to 80.
Oh, and if you
getting
go past
to 80
that,
is really easy. But you get to 80, and you feel like you've done so much. You feel like you should be further along than you actually are. But like the last 20 is where the magic happens, because that's where people at 80 is where you have the thought that becomes so loud, it's just triumphing in your head. Stop. Do something else. Try something different, because you're at that point of turbulence that, I mean, you're breaking generational traumas. You're breaking all of the things that your parents told you weren't capable of doing, or where they told you should settle. You're breaking things that teachers teach you in school. You're breaking every single belief that you have about yourself, that your family has about themselves, generations and generations upon belief, and you're rewiring to go past that. And there's some people, like us two, that were able to push through that. Like, you know how loud that shit gets in your head when it's like, you're making no money.
Well,
no one knows you exist.
My mom told me, she was like, you feel like quitting? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, that's why you should keep going.
Yeah.
Because she's like, when most people quit at the same spot you are. So if you just stick it out a little bit longer, you're going to be fine. And then looking back, like, that, you know, turbulence I was in, like, it set me up to be in these situations where, you know, I go to Texas, I get to work with my old mentor again, so learn a ton of stuff from her. My buddy Corey with the Pistons now, like, he got to come down there. Like, if I were to do a different route, like, I probably wouldn't get a chance to learn again from, you know, these top coaches in our field.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that for like 4 years, like, that's insane. It's definitely helped push me to where I am today. And if I was in a different situation, like, probably not learning as much, probably not, to your point, surrounded by good people, like, they push you to be better. Like, these
you
two
don't know when that's going to happen.
Correct.
You have no clue when it's going to happen. There's not some note you get in the mail.
6 years, this will happen.
Yeah,
next
that
year,
says,
this will happen.
Hey, you've done a great job. You know what comes next is you get to rub shoulders with all of these people, and you get to network with them, and a whole bunch of success comes next. It's not real one day. It just happens. I remember when it really happened inside of VCA, it's when I went to go shut down the Together More coaching company that I had. We were having days, you know, you would get a sale here, you get a sale there, you get a sale there. And one day we did 18,000 in rev. I was like, wow, this is the biggest day for this new company yet. And the next day we did 14. I'm like, whoa, 2 straight days. The next day we did an absurd number. It was like 25, 30, somewhere in there. And I'm like, damn, 3 straight days. This was like huge. Wow, this is changing the bank account very quickly. And we kept going to where the low days were like 8,000, 9,000, and I'm not getting much of a jump out of that. When it's like, hang on, 8,000, 9,000 over 30 days. That's $250,000 a month. This is amazing, but it's not getting any excitement out of me. And that's when I went to go shut down the other company. Because the other company, you know, there's a lot of coaches that I was reliant on. It was a poor setup and a poor model, even though we were making 7 figures.
Money. Yeah.
So it went from we 1 or 2 sales a week to, oh my God, like this community chat. I was off for 5 days for the Texas Pro, the imminent title sponsors over the weekend. And I mean, this community chat had thousands of messages sent in it over the weekend.
Yeah.
And it changed like that because you just don't stop going with it. You just don't stop attacking it. But what I notice is the greatest, might just be for me. I can post all the insanely helpful reels. I can give away whatever lead magnet I want. I can boost a post that's performing well. We can up the ad spend that we have. Nothing grows my company like pouring into the community.
It's true.
I've made 3 posts in the last 2 weeks, and we've had our biggest 2 weeks we've ever had because the people in the community, they do your job of promotion if you serve them well, but also, again, there's just, I believe in there's some sort of energetic transfer of wealth in the universe that when you pour into the product, you pour into the people that believe in you, there's amazing shit that comes your way. And it's hard to keep sight of that, I think, at all times, just because what people think is pouring into people is way different than what's actually pouring into people. I'm talking getting really intentional with empowering every single person.
I think that's the biggest thing.
I could keep ECA where it's at right now. We could keep growing revenue, but people coming in would get less service than what they're getting right now. Instead, we're onboarding 4 new client success coaches this week who are all onboarding with my client success director right now as we're in this podcast. And I'm expanding resources for everyone to be able to hop on a one-to-one call any time of the week whenever they need it to get whatever they need figured out with the team. Instead, I hired a $15,000 a month graphic designer to come on board to handle all of our mentees' creative stuff. He's handling for every single one of them. And then when he needs a team member, we're going to hire him a team member, so on and so forth. Those micro investments end up growing the macro impact of the company without me having to increase ad spend, do anything online in terms of posting, have any sort of promos or discounts or anything, which we don't do. And the message to get across, when you pour into your team, you get more out. When you pour into your community, if you're listening to this podcast, you get more out. It's just like a relationship, but a romantic relationship is a fascinating dichotomy of how we can go about our day-to-day lives. You pour into it, you nurture it when you're trying to court them in the beginning, and it goes so well, and they're over the moon, and you're in this honeymoon phase, and so on and so forth. But then things dull as time goes on. And that's also natural evolution of a relationship.
Oh, for sure.
It's going to happen.
For sure.
What do you do in those dull times to pick it back up and to pour back in? Or do you just leave?
Yeah.
And like start something new, which a lot of young guys do,
Sure,
which I don't recommend.
For sure. Been there.
Yeah. Let's see. I've been there about 50 times. There's some mean things that have been said about me because of that.
Some may be true. Most are true.
Yeah. I'm not fully healed,
Yeah.
okay? I'm just 80% of the way there. It's the next
I'm good.
20.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
But when people pour in the hard times, when it's the hardest to pour in, I believe that gives you the greatest likelihood of success, doubling down when those noises get really loud. It's very hard to do. Mm-hmm. It's hard to have an abundance mindset about something when the bank account is low. But imagine, for online coaches seeing this, imagine your bank account being low and your team gets blown out every motherfucking night. You've only got one of those problems.
Yes.
Zach had a double whammy. So then you go to the Final Four with UT.
Yeah.
Man, I was so fired up watching you guys.
It was cool. Like, I didn't realize, like, what I was in. Because, like, we go pretty far in the tournament every year. But once again, you don't know till you know. And we're there practicing a couple of days before the Final Four. And there's 500 media people around. Like, it's a big deal. Like, you have to – it's like – Fort Knox even getting to the court.
Real fast, the practice I came to,
yeah,
I was the only person there that wasn't part of the team.
Yes.
And now
you got the VIP.
This is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy to think about.
Well, then you sit there and you're like, holy shit, like we're the last 4 teams playing. Like of all the 365 teams or whatever.
No one else playing ball.
The only 4 teams
only
playing.
you.
And then you're like, holy shit, like this is a big deal. And like how the tournament works, like you lose and you go home.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like we finally made the jump. Obviously, we didn't win the game to go to the finals, but like it's such a great experience, especially those kids that are coming back. Like I still stay in touch with them, and they're kind of the same message of like all the blood, sweat, and tears we put in, the time commitment, all this stuff got us to here. Like, what are the things we're going to need to do to get to that next hump? And I had lunch with a couple of them, and I was like, so what are you guys going to do to get over the hump? And they're like, well, I always tell them to keep track of what they do. So how many times they get in the gym per week, film, whatnot. And a lot of them are like, well, we've played, like I'm a 5th year. And so like skill-wise, obviously need to stay on top of that. But like I need to work on the mental part of the game or how to motivate my teammates more. So those soft skills. And that's stuff where you don't think about as a player. You just think about I need to be better at, on the court stuff. But like film, like NBA, those guys watch so much film because that's where the game's at. If you can recognize concepts or like top quarterbacks in the NFL, like they know what the defense is running before the defense is even out there. And it's like, how do I work on that? And then the leadership side of things, like how do I pull my teammates along with me? And I think that's the biggest thing we can have influence over of just because these players are good and respected doesn't mean they're good leaders. So, like, can we help teach them on, like, tone, when to jump somebody or when to, put them under your arm, and these little things of how to become better leaders. And I don't, people like, are leaders born or made? Like, I do think certain people have certain personality types to make them lead, but I think, it comes with time and lessons and learning how to lead correctly. And I think the sooner you figure that out of, like, what works, what doesn't, especially me as a coach, like, I've tried different tactics for, wanting to get an outcome I want, and some worked really well, and some I'm like, dude, I cannot do that again. But I think that's the biggest thing I've probably learned with being a coach of, you don't want to fight fire with fire. So I think what a lot of people do is they'll jump somebody's ass of, like, yelling at them, demeaning them, all these things, because that's probably what you were taught or what happened to you. And you can just look in the mirror and be like, well, when my parents or coach did that to me, like, I shut down. There's a few people that respond to it, but for the majority, especially now, like, they shut down. So it's like, how can I be more vulnerable and level-headed with them of, hey, I know you don't want to be defiant, or I know you're not trying to do this. How can I help you? And then you can establish this dialogue and this trust. And then as long as you get the end result you want, like, who cares how you do it? But I just think there's oftentimes a better way of going about it than just ripping somebody's ass all the time.
For athletes, I think athletes are probably, especially athletes who want to get to another level, there's a level of self-awareness and, back to earlier in the podcast, truth that they have to have with themselves to be able to ask that question of, how can I help you? I find with a lot of the people we work with, they don't know that answer. I guess it's easy because, not easy, I guess it would, a large part of that would be because the athletes who are at this level of collegiate sports were probably on really winning teams in high school.
Yeah.
So they're able to find that disconnect of what they had to get to that point in high school, which is way different than college, but the basics still sort of remain true. And then seeing that there's not that connection right now at the collegiate level. I think what I found works really well for us is just, if I educate you why your social media post flopped, or if I educate you why your funnel's not working, or if I educate you on a sales psychology process, a sales psychology cycle, the 3 different types of hierarchy of needs people need to have before they make a purchase, if I educate you on just the mechanics of the shit that doesn't work and why it doesn't work, which is variable person to person, I find that there's far greater outcomes from if you just understand the why beyond the X's and O's. And I think that's a very football-like approach. Like, the safeties and the quarterbacks have to understand every single why of every single play of every single thing going on in the entire field.
I think we missed the point of, we think that these athletes already know the why. Like, they always give me shit because I have a big whiteboard in the weight room, and I will literally explain why today it's heavy, why today is light, why today I need you to go as hard as possible, why today I need you to pull back. And we can get really granular, or, like, just trust me on this is what it's going to be. And I joke, we were like that last week of summer training this year, and the guy's like, what we got today? And one of our guys like, dude, it's Tuesday, it's heavy strength day, we're lifting stuff heavy, we're taking a lot of rest, but everything's going to be super intentional with, like, how we move it. Like, we got to move it as fast as possible. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
I love that.
And so it's like they're bought in, they see the results, they see that there's thought behind it, especially something they don't understand. Like, how can weights, which you probably don't like doing, being 6'10" with a 7'4" wingspan.
I bet weights suck.
Yeah, I bet weights do suck. Dunking sucks for me too.
Yeah.
Reaching stuff at the top cabinet sucks for me. But, like, how can I give you the understanding of, like, this is why it matters for you? And I think even if you don't like something, if you recognize that it can benefit you, you'll do it regardless of what it is. Like, I'm sure if you told any of your clients, like, you got to eat dog poop twice a day, if they're really dedicated, they're like, all right, I got you. I'm going to go to the store and get some
dog poop. How much studying of, like, the top guys do you do?
Studying, like, sports performance-wise or mental?
Sports performance-wise.
So I'd say every day is testing day. And so we'll have things, we'll usually do, like, the force plates a couple times a week, and that can basically what I want to see from that, we want to see greater outputs.
Yep.
Like that's what everyone wants to see, but I care about like the sequencing. Like, is this the same performing athlete as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Because skill acquisition is all about sequencing, and can you replicate the same thing over and over and over, especially a sport like basketball or any of these like repetitive skill type things. And so we can go and look and see of like, okay, is the training too much, too little? Are they grasping the concept? Are they the same person every day? If things are going down, is it a lack of sleep, nutrition, off the court stuff?
Yeah.
And you can kind of get everything on board and then have those conversations of like, hey, you're doing really good the first 2 weeks. And then I notice every Friday you have your worst jump. Like, why is that? Like, what are you doing Thursday night? And they're like, how'd you know I was doing? It's like, well, because you're awesome all week, and then you just tank on Friday. And it's not because we did Thursday, because the training's minimal. And it's like, yeah, I'm staying up too late, or I went out last night, and I didn't eat breakfast, I'm not hydrated. And it's like, well, if you miss every Friday in this 8 weeks, you missed a week and 1 day of training, essentially. And so, like, you're that far behind the 8 ball. So it's like, are the things you're doing, it's tough with that age. It's like, I want you to be a kid, and college is fun. I get it. But like when it starts interfering with your dream, why you're here, what you told me you want to do at the next level, like you need to make a change. And I know there's some guys on your team or girls that can party and have horrible habits, and they're still the best player in the conference, but like that's not you. And how soon are you going to grow up, or do you want to be just skate by doing this and be an 80% player, and then at the end of your career you don't get to play at the next level? Or do you want to lock in and have an opportunity of a 4-year tryout to make $100 million? Can you lock in for 4 years to do that? There's no other career you can do that. And so can you make that promise that you made to your 6-year-old self, dribbling the ball in the kitchen, to lock it in on Thursdays, or drink a bottle of water, or eat, like things like that? And I think when you can start correlating those with good things of like, hey, dude, you made your body weight, that you're hydrated today, you did a great job in practice. What are the things you did? Oh, I got up early. I didn't wake up 10 minutes before my alarm. Like, I did all the necessary things, and then I had a great practice. It's like, dude, how can we keep replicating that? Like, what can I do to help you to keep doing that? And then I like turning it into a game or a competition. Like, how many days can you stay hydrated in a row? How many days can you come in extra? And then I think if you gamify stuff, especially with competitive athletes or anyone that like wants to do better, like it's unstoppable. I feel like.
We found that same to be true within ECA, and that's why we use the WAP platform. For anyone who's an online coach or runs online education, I think you got to use the WAP platform, because if you gamify it, you become their addiction through the dopaminergic reward circuitry that just rewires to love when they get positive feedback or affirmation or a notification from your platform. So if I can make you as addicted to the Elite Coaching Academy platform as I can your addiction to Instagram,
you're going to crush.
You're going to dominate. And that's exactly what we've done. So there's all these like different apps on the side of ECA that are different build outs that constantly have updates. And these updates are sequenced in a manner of, I personally check Instagram 8 times a day. So I want you to have more updates in ECA than how often just me, I don't know how much other people check Instagram, than I check Instagram. So I want there to be at least 10 different groups, forums, resources, whatever, that get put into the community every single day to make your addiction to the Elite Coaching Academy higher than your addiction to Instagram. Well, based on our current analytics, we have the second most the second highest usage in the entire WAP platform around the entire world. Within the Elite Coaching Academy. And we only have like 380 members, whereas these other groups up there have tens of thousands. I've made this an addiction. I've made success. I've made a tribe. I've made a positive outcome that teaches you an addiction. Also, something I chat with the coaches about, we all get dopaminergic rewards from learning something new. But to be able to teach somebody something new, you have to first get their attention, which obviously you do a great job of that based on the success that you've had of getting your athletes' attention. Well, we're competing in the world of social media.
Yeah, it's a lot.
People are insane at getting other people's attention. So if you can create content that provides value to get a dopamine spike out of somebody within the first 3 seconds, the hook portion of content. Excuse me. And then within the next 7 seconds, you provide 2 more pieces of value. So the first 3 seconds, there's 1 piece. First 10 seconds, there's 3 pieces. 3 times in 10 seconds, I taught you something, made your dopamine circuitry light up. I now have your attention to be able to expand and impact you in a positive way through my content. We view everything we do. We view master classes, we view teaching, we do module curation, we view case studies, we view client, a mentee success and their client success. Every single thing is a dopaminergic reward, meaning you get dopamine the further you go and the more you participate. You're doing the same thing within sports performance at the top level. I point this out to say, I believe in today's landscape, if you're not able to manipulate dopamine, you don't have a chance. And like online fitness coaches have the worst content of anybody ever. Because, hey guys,
3
Zach
things you're not
here.
doing.
Let me chat with you about sports performance. No one fucking cares.
Yeah.
What you did was you actually dulled their dopamine. Well, Zach, if you were a constant source of dulling dopamine,
Next.
people will continue scrolling every time. They'll never stop their scroll. And then you eventually get unfollowed.
Yeah.
Now you have 0 chance at authority and 0 chance of impact. So what I love about the skills that you use in your data that you're sharing with us is Nick Comodina said it amazing on a recent masterclass. If you only had your current audience for the next 12 months, how would that change your content? Well, you have your current audience for 12 months and nobody new's coming in.
Yeah.
The coaching staff solidified, the players, the roster solidified, and you are constantly finding new ways to light up their dopamine, light up their reward, and light up the way that they show up so you don't lose them. So there's a quite fascinating carryover from the things you're doing to, I believe, becoming successful as an online trainer or really anyone providing an online product. So let me ask you, what are some of the resources? What are some of the trackers? How do you track players' habits? How do you, like, other than the testing, which you share with us, do you have anything done by the players or is it all kind of done for them? And like, how do they check in with you? How do they report to you so you have the full picture?
Yeah, and probably when you were in college, wellness questionnaires were like the big thing.
Yeah.
So like these strength coaches would build out these things on an iPad and kids would sign in and bullshit them of like sleep, hydration, whatever, mental space.
Yeah.
And we always joke that like people had just a horrible way of executing them. Like they'd look at it as like you'd chew a kid's ass because he self-reported that he slept 6 hours. And it's like, well, if this thing's going to help them, why am I going to screw them over with being honest? So kids would just lie on them and everything. Yep. And I was talking with my assistant the other week because he asked me about wellness questionnaires or tracking or all these things. And I was like, watch this. And the guys show up for weights, usually 1 at a time, 2 at a time. And it's a quick conversation of, hey, how you been? How you doing? And a lot of people like wear their emotions just out there. You can tell right away if they walk in what kind of day it's going to be like. So the question was, he's like, what are we going to do for the warm-up today? I'm like, give me 5 minutes. When these guys walk in, we'll know. So some days they come in juiced, ready to go. They were shooting before, excited. I'm like, warm-up's going to be tiny because, they're already ready to go. Or the days where they're dragging, it's like, okay, we need to probably do a dynamic warm-up, something where it involves like a game or something to get their talking, moving, all this kind of stuff. And that's kind of how I do things from there. And then the more you build this relationship of talking with them of, dude, you look like you're dragging a little bit. What's the deal? Like, oh no, dude, I was just at study hall. I'm tired. Nothing. I'm good. Or it's like, yeah, dude, like I've been through the ringer, like got some family stuff going on. And it's like, okay, well, this is still the mission today. Like, are you cool with, oh yeah, I got you, coach. Or, yeah, I just probably gonna need a little time to get my mind right. I'm like, cool, I'll give you 5 minutes, but like the mission's still the mission. So I think it's like keeping that open dialogue and knowing that I have a unique position where I don't dictate playing time. So they're going to be oftentimes more open with me, because no matter if I like them, don't like them, whatever, like I'm not going to dictate how many minutes they're going to play. So they'll be a little bit open of like, things aren't going good or things are going great, man. Like I just want to keep it moving. So I think, the conversation, the human piece, like being able to have good social IQ, I think that's what's probably separated me in my career more than like the X's and O's of strength and conditioning. Like how to find ways to get, once again, the give a fuck factor of them caring about what we're doing and seeing the big picture. But I think that comes with like a genuine conversation. I don't think any computer, AI model, whatever, can tell you more than a simple conversation and handshake. So our rule is I got to come in and shake my hand, say what's up, and talk for a minute, 30 seconds, and you can find out really quick if they're in that day or out.
I love that. You gave me an idea, something that we do in ECA, because you get your players in person.
Yeah.
So, majority of our people, I mean, it's all online. Like, when I'm traveling, when I'm in Tampa or when I'm in Dallas or wherever I go, I'll let the mentees know. People will drive out and meet up. Other than that, we're not getting in-person time. So the idea becomes, for coaches, if most of your work is done virtually, I guess an hour of open office hour, you just let one person in at a time. Everyone can hop in, the Zoom waiting room. You just let one person at a time. You just have 3 to 5 minutes with them. You just chat. You can tell who your top performers are. Earlier you chatted about on the roster. There's 15 people on a roster, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So there's 5 bought in, 5 in the middle, about 5 at the bottom. Somewhere along those lines. Mm-hmm. So the people who show up are obviously people who are at the top or the middle. The people who show up right on time are probably people at the top. The people who show up, 8 minutes in, 12 minutes in, they're in the middle.
Correct.
And the people that never show up or show up maybe once a month, they're at the bottom. Right? So I think it's easy to then have a hierarchy of who's the leaders within your roster, as Zach alluded to earlier. But with that 3 to 5 minute one-to-one conversation during the live office hours, before you get to the next person, you're going to be able to tell exactly where they are, exactly how the plan's going, exactly how everything's working for them, what you can do to help them, which then increases their trust, then increases their buy-in, then increases, if you look on the business side, increases the LTV of that client because they're going to stick around longer. LTV is lifetime value. It increases your chance of getting testimonials out of them. It increases your chance of getting referrals out of them. It increases your chance of getting results out of them. And I think that makes a lot of sense for online fitness coaches to do. So I don't think anyone's doing that. We do it within ECA. We do it within ECA right now for our mentees. But as far as what we do is B2B. So as far as B2C online customer service industry goes, I don't think anyone's doing that.
Yeah. I mean,
so that could be a huge opportunity for you to separate your business, online fitness coaches.
Do it. I think I can always tell, when we start weights, if the majority of the guys are in there 10 minutes before, I know it's going to be a really good day.
Those are your best guys, right?
And then
would you say the guys that show up the earliest are your actual best players?
Top performers, the people that care. They're excited to come train.
You guys, it's that easy.
You're not excited to do something, you're going to be the last guy dragging in or whatever. And I think getting them to understand, hey, when we come to practice and you're the last guy in the gym and coach is already out, that already sends the message that you're not ready to go, you're not prepared, you're not about this. But if you're already the guy that's in a full sweat or already ready to go or chomping at the bit, coach wants to work with you. Nothing makes coaches more happy than they come into the gym ready for practice and balls are bouncing, everybody's out there already doing stuff. Yeah. But nothing pisses people off more than if you're late, running behind, putting your shoes on 30 seconds before we start. And same with business. I will invest in an intern or someone shadowing who shows up 15 minutes early than the guy that's hey, I know you start in 2 minutes. I'm looking for a place to park. Where's the building at? And it's dude, I'm starting. Try again next time. And it's time's our best resource. So if I show up early for you or stay late, that shows you without me even telling you that I'm about it. I'm like, if I hit you up to get coffee with you to ask you business questions, and then I'm 15 minutes late, like, how much do you really want to help me?
Yeah, I
like,
lose respect for
exactly. And I get like stuff happens, but like, you kind of have control, especially if you pick the time and location and all that.
I get stuff happens, but with where I'm at this point, and everyone knows I'm hyper successful. If
people
I'm
don't
on
have
time, motherfucker, you better be on time.
Yes.
And I think that right there is a great analogy for people to have. You know how serious you are based off of the way you respond when there's opportunity directly in front of you. Just like this weekend in Dallas, there was 6 or 7 mentees that like made the trip, made the drive. Dallas, shit's not close to shit in Dallas.
It's all over the place.
I get off the plane and I get in an Uber, and the Uber says it's 58 minutes to this gym that we're doing an imminent shootout. I'm like, 58 minutes? Brother,
in the same city.
We in Dallas.
Yeah.
And then we finish the shoot. I get in another Uber, and the Uber's like, we got an hour and 14. An hour 14? But so these people made that effort, made the journey out to get some one-to-one time for 70 minutes. We were there. Like, those people are top performers. And then actually out of that, one of my guys, Sam, hits me up the next day that he just got a 6-month deal handled. And I'm like,
there you go.
Because you make the extra effort.
Well, the 80% of people aren't going to make that trip, or aren't going to get there early or whatever. So if you're just in that top 20 or 10%, you're already going to be way higher along than they are.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how easy it is to be good. Not even great, good.
It is.
Like, you just have to do those little things that like everyone else is willing to be 5 minutes late, or not have the little conversation, or put in a little extra time here or there, and like, you're on the other side of doing that. Like, you can control all that stuff.
I see it in all three of the companies. I see it in Imminent, I see it in ECA, and I see it in our elite coaching. The client, the people who are simply doing a tiny little bit of extra work to be good. And ECA and elite coaching, we can track how much time you spend on the app, how much time you spend on filling things out, how much time you spend on modules, your pass rate, all this stuff. And the people at the top of those analytic charts are also the people making the most money or the most progress.
Weird.
The people, the affiliates with Imminent, who are constantly hitting their KPIs, which we track now. We have every single metric tracked for all these people. They're the ones who get invited to the booths. They're the ones who get extra perks from us. They're the ones who get our attention. They get highlighted on team calls. And that shit feels good.
What group are the biggest complainers in?
The people at the middle bottom.
Yeah.
I would actually say are like the biggest complainers, because people at the bottom don't care enough to complain.
Yeah.
But then there's like people at the top bottom and bottom middle.
Yeah.
Who like, they just complain all the fucking time when it's like, homie, this is being handed. I mean, we have shit so easily broken down that success is handed to you. It is just there. And if you don't do anything with that, I would go as far as saying, if you're not able to win, so something I do unbelievably well is I standardize success. And all the companies' success is standardized. If you're not able to win with one of my companies, you will not win. You will not become a winner. And I'm not talking about like winning on stage. I'm not talking about like getting this award or that. I'm talking about a champion of life.
Yeah.
You can win on, you know how many people won this past week on stage and their bank accounts are broke. They have no real friends. Their friends only talk shit about them behind their back, which is a real friend. Their relationships are suffering. Like, listen, I'm not saying I have everything figured out and I'm perfect. I'm winning across the board, but goddamn, I have great financial success. I have a great product that people want to be part of. I have an amazing relationship with my girlfriend. I have an amazing social group. I'm championing. Because success leaves clues, lack of success does as well. So how I show up for people is how the world's going to show up for me, and how you show up for your opportunities, how the world's going to continue to show up for you. So another example, Miami Athletics is a gigantic program, one of the biggest programs of all time. Last year, the teams, the coaches, the whoever didn't show up in a manner that they found acceptable, so they bring in an entire new leadership staff in your sport. Now, you guys have an opportunity to simply show progression. Hopefully that progression happens. I'm pretty confident that it will. But if you don't show progression over a certain time period, then everyone knows what happens.
Gonzo.
You're gone. And that's a lot of pressure. especially for you leaving a situation where, dude, your next 5 years were guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Based on the success. And you leave that to now be like, my next 5 years, we got to work really fucking hard. And we've got to make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed every single day to make sure that they become guaranteed. And I'm excited for you to have that opportunity. So my last thing, you're not risk averse. Mm-hmm. If you are into strength and conditioning,
Dumb or definitely not risk averse.
You love risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because just simply being there is huge risk.
Yeah.
Leaving Final Four for, I don't know when the final is.
Mm-hmm.
This is difficult. Is this born? Is this learned? And why the fuck do you make that move?
Yeah. I think, like, for me, like, I hate complacency. And I think when you're somewhere for too long and have success and things are going right, like, I didn't really have a challenge. And for me, like, I need a challenge in order for me to care more, put more effort. Like, I want a problem to solve, a puzzle to solve. And where I was, like, to your point, like, I could have probably ridden it out till, I was going to say till I'm bald and old, but till I'm old.
Well, you're already bald.
Exactly. So this was like an opportunity for a new challenge, a new way to help myself grow. And I like the pressure of college athletics. Like, you either did it or you didn't. And, you know, sometimes the ball doesn't fall where you want, but, like, hopefully you put yourself in a position to be on the good side more often than not. But I think I just needed a new challenge, a new space to go, a new environment. And it's definitely going to help me grow. And I think when you're too comfortable in a situation, like, it's really hard to grow, especially, like, if you're making good money, you're winning games, you're in a good spot. Like, most people are like, why would you leave that? And I agree. I ask myself that a ton. But I think in order for me to take myself to the next level, I have to put myself out there and maybe put myself in a position where I won't succeed. Yeah. And, you know, you're going to learn from it. I don't think you lose in life unless you don't learn something from it. So if you lose and still learn, I think you still win.
Yeah.
You might just have to go about it in a different way. But I think, you know, this is a way for me to get outside of my comfort zone, work on new things. And, yeah, I'm just pumped to get it going. It's definitely scary, for sure. But I think most things you want in life are on the other side of something that scares the shit out of you. Yeah. It's kind of like with you. You could have kept together more around and done a pretty good job, but I think in the back of your head you realize you could do more. There's more that you could offer, and that's why you took the chance of building what you have today. And that's where I'm at as well, of, like, bet on yourself, put in the work, and chips fall where they may. Yeah.
Do you find that most of your friends are pretty risk-averse individuals?
Yeah, we joke. We have this, like, small group chat, and they're all, like, go-getters as far as, like, fitness, business, good family people, like, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's my favorite chat that I have, of celebrating each other's wins. And it's not a competition. It's more of, like, little stupid things, like our buddy will screenshot his run he did this morning. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get mine in today. Or I think you have a great group of friends when you can share, especially as guys, like, share good things that happen to you, and your buddies aren't like, oh, you're just bragging or whatever. Yeah. Like, I think too many times with guys, like, nobody talks about, like, oh, I just got a promotion, or I just did this. Or on the advice, the other side of it is like, yo, I got this horrible client, like, and you guys have experience working with somebody like this. And I think if you can surround yourself with those kind of people, even when you are having those bad days, you're like, yo, they've still figured it out. And for me, a lot of my buddies are, like, married with kids. I'm like, dude, if he can juggle working out, being a successful business person, good husband, good dad, and I have no responsibilities, like, come on, there's more time, more stuff I can give. And so I think, to your point, like, if you surround yourself by winners, you're going to win. And vice versa. Like, you might have friends that you're boys with since you were in diapers, but they're on a different path than you, and that's fine. Like, keep them for those type of friends. When you want to have a beer at Thanksgiving and talk about you should have won state and whatnot, like, cool, that's your buddy for that. But, like, have other friends that are, like, in your circle with either winning at business or fitness or life or whatever. So I think you can have different friends for different purposes. Yeah. And I think the more you get out of this, like, lone wolf mentality, the more fun life's going to be. And pick good friends. Like, I know I can pick up the phone and call you if I have a business, life, fitness question, and you're more than happy to chat it up. And I think it's cool to have friends like that. I think that's how you really know you're winning in life, when you have people that you can call and trust, and they're going to treat you with the same level of respect back. It's not just a one-way relationship.
I agree.
And I think
I appreciate our friendship. We have a fun friendship.
It is cool.
It's cool. And I would love to, I want to make sure that I get out. We are way past our time. I want to make sure that I get out to Miami for a game.
Yeah, for sure. Let me know. I know a guy, get you tickets, and good gym to train at.
Cool. Zach, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on the Elite Coach Cast. As the name of the podcast suggests, there's not many more elite coaches than Zack Zillner. So where can they follow you on Instagram?
Zack, ZACK _ Zillner, ZILLNER, and same on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of fun stuff.
Amazing. Zach, you rock. Elite Coaching Cast. We'll see y'all next time.